Hello. Okay, so I have had this page of phrases and words, different things coming through for a while, and I mentioned in an audio I posted maybe like yesterday or the day before, that I was like wanting to record something else, but it didn't feel like the right time, and other things were coming through. So this, if you came from there or if you listened to that, then this is the moment where I've decided, because I wrote down so many things, I actually don't know if it's going to be all of it right now, but I will just do what I always do and see what comes through. And I just actually recorded my first Patreon. I'm starting a Patreon membership platform. It actually came through a dream a few months ago to start cultivating a Patreon. And so, yeah, that's what I have been working on, seemingly slowly. And so I just finished recording my first video for Patreon, and yeah, so maybe look out for that if that is something you're interested in. I will start posting it in the description boxes when it's ready. I'm hoping to get the first video up this week. And it was inspired by the Union imprint transmission that I posted like yesterday or the day before. So it will kind of be like a deeper dive into that. And then actually a topic came up that I wasn't expecting. And it's funny because I just clicked on a reading to listen to someone. I didn't listen to the whole reading, but she brought up a topic that came up in the Patreon reading that I just did, which is essentially about like people just kind of like accusing and throwing out a bunch of what I really want to use my words carefully. Yeah, just like accusing anyone who is sharing some of their stuff in terms of like, readings or some more like esoteric metaphysical material. And yes, discernment is so important, and I totally get that, but I know there's like a ramping up of like, this person's an archon or this person is hijacked, and like I'm bringing that up right now because I think it's important to talk about these things. And I know there's material that I've listened to from people or different things and like maybe not have gotten the best feeling and thought like, okay, maybe that's not my highest truth, or like I think it is important to use discernment for sure, because there probably are countless people who may not have the best intentions, and so yeah, I think there's a lot of things coming to light and a lot of phases of, if you want to call it, awakening, and these buzzwords like are flooding the internet. And so it's like really important to know that like with the masses like coming into these topics, distortion is, I don't want to say inevitable, but like it's kind of inevitable. Distortion happens, and so it's really important right now to, I think, just continue trusting yourself in terms of like what is good for you, and what sits with your highest truth and inner knowing. And I talk more deeply about that in the Patreon, but I just wanted to bring it up and say, like, I actually listened to something earlier because I do like to expand my perspectives and listen to people, even if it's maybe not my belief sometimes, just to get that, that knowing or that perspective from someone else's viewpoint. And I listened to someone essentially like talk about how a lot of the concepts that have rung true for me in my inner knowing and experiences, basically being all, filled with just deception, essentially, which again I do see and have dove into many, like, some of the more, like, I guess perceived scary facets of like, if you want to call it, like, the occult, spirituality, astral experiences, etc. And I do plan on talking about these things more. But after listening to this one person, I really thought about deleting my entire YouTube and anything that was connected, because I was just like, everything she said, I was like, oh my God, like, what, And I'm not going to go into the details of what she said. I mean, like, maybe at this moment, because I wasn't even planning on going deep into this. But again, I think it's important just to bring up, like, if anyone, I guess my point is taking my experience and sharing it, like, if anyone makes you feel, I guess, like, that dramatic in that second to, like, erase everything that you feel connected to, me 3 years ago probably would have deleted that and doubted myself and thought, but I created the space to have these conversations and to, bring in different perspectives and, try and navigate together for those who feel connected to what it is I'm bringing up and what I'm speaking on. So that stopped me from just deleting all of my things. And I would like to think, I'd like to hope that I'm someone who is not afraid of refining, belief systems and experiences and looking at it from multiple angles. So, I do invite in that aspect, but I also, if we don't have that, like, foundation within ourselves and that trust, and that's also what I was talking about in the Patreon, of, like, cultivating that stream within ourselves of being able to see what is ringing true for our highest connection and good. And when I say highest, I don't mean like high vibration or anything like that. I mean like the purest form of truth for you, if that makes sense. So yeah, I could talk about this topic for a very long time, but I think I'm going to shift gears. And like I said, if anyone is curious or wants to, comment, please feel free. Okay, so I just looked down the timer and I saw 00. And it's funny because I looked on this paper and I wrote down 10 and then 100. Oh yeah, I was seeing those numbers a lot. So I heard the phrase in my head, new creation space. So perhaps someone is carving out some sort of new space, whether that's mentally, emotionally, physically, in a vicinity to carve out space for some sort of creation you're trying to bring through. So that's exciting. I'm scanning the paper and I was drawn right away to Azurite temple is what I wrote down. If you're not familiar, Azurite is a blue crystal. And oh yes, okay. So the Azurite temple that phrase came up actually through some of Ashayana Dean. I've been talking about her a lot lately because she is someone who I will listen to after I have some of my own experiences. And again, there's a lot of people saying that she's hijacked and her work is crap, and after a certain year, don't listen, blah, blah, blah. And I'm here to say that there are just certain things that she says, not every single word, but certain things that really ring true for me and my own inner connection. And so at the moment, I just feel like her work has helped me kind of put a frame. Now, her work can be extremely layered, and I just wanted to, I like to cite my inspirations just because that's something that I like to do. And whether it's like a book, a person, well, obviously a book are written by people, a mentor, whatever it is, I like to try, and I can't say I'm perfect at it and I do it every single time, but I do my best to talk about some of the the sources, just like when you're reading an article and people cite their sources. So I just try to do that. So if you hear me doing that, that is what that's about. And again, I am not promoting or convincing anyone to do anything. It's just I like to share my experiences, and if you're here and you want to listen, then that's wonderful. Thanks for being here. Okay, so the Azurite Temple. I had a dream in the last year or so where I was in a bathtub in France. And I remember I was sitting in this bathtub, and I felt very happy. I remember just looking around, and I remember there was a lot of black and white, and it was stylish, but still comfortable, and it had that very Parisian just feel. And there's another word that's escaping me. It's the Parisian essence. I don't know, I've only spent a few days in Paris, but at least the parts that I visited felt very there's just a romantic charm, I suppose, in this bathroom. I love bathrooms. I don't know what it is about me, but I do. I just love bathrooms. Kitchens and bathrooms. My sister would always say, you love kitchens and bathrooms. And I'm like, you know what? I really do. Anyway, side note. So I'm in the stream. I'm in this bathtub. I'm having a great time. And I had roommates. I remember one guy specifically, but there was another French guy. And I remember the one guy being really tall and big. I feel his head was bald. I remember he was wearing a blue shirt, a t-shirt, I think, and he was just really tall and not even muscly, but just big. At least to me, because I'm 5 foot. And so anyway, I'm looking up, and we're just chatting. It wasn't sexual or anything. We just were. I had bubbles around me, so I was just it was just very natural. He was just sitting somewhere in the bathroom, or maybe on the toilet, I don't remember. And we're just chatting. And I had an Azurite crystal. Now, mind you, when I had this dream, I had never heard of Azurite as a crystal. I didn't know it was a crystal. And in the dream, I was you know what? And I just pushed the crystal in the tub with me. And I remember the roommate, I don't know what his name was, and he was what are you doing? And I was I don't know. I just had to do that. And then my whole tub turned blue. And I was whoa, what is happening? I was we were all just this is so cool. And I looked it up, and it happened to be that Azurite is used for can be used for making blue paint. There's like a whole process that you can turn it into paint. So that was pretty cool. And so when I then saw there's the whole like Azurite lineage in some of the like ascension mechanic teachings. I'll save that for another time, but I'm just adding that in there in case anyone feels connected to that. And I was thinking about doing like a guided astral journey to like an Azurite temple, because that seems to be like an essence that like carries through me in some way. And yeah, so someone here may be getting information from dreams themselves and like looking things up and like shocking themselves, like, whoa, I did not know that was a thing, and that's so cool. Or you may be astral journeying in your sleep or in meditation to different types of temples. The Dolphin Star Temple is coming up in mind. I just heard Magdalene codes, or the Magdalene Temple, so maybe someone's tuning in. Yeah, like the Rose Ray lineages are coming up. I just did a transmission the other day where the Rose Ray were coming through. And if not, yeah, maybe that's something that interests you. Okay, what's next? Of course, I brought up France, so there could be some connection to France in some way. Oh, I just like pretended like I was tasting a croissant. I don't know, I've always loved croissants, so maybe someone here also loves croissants, but I specifically like savory croissants. But when I was a kid, I loved chocolate croissants. So maybe your like preferences for, I feel like this came up in the other day too, are kind of changing, or maybe like certain things from when you were a kid are kind of like coming back around. Like lately I've been like wanting sweet things sometimes, and I don't generally love like sweet stuff. So yeah, there could be something like that happening. And then the last few days, yeah, blue crystals seem to be very relevant. So maybe someone here is really drawn to crystals right now. But I just heard like, ooh, something just really tickled me on my right, kind of in between my thumb and my right finger. And I heard palmistry. So maybe someone here is looking at palmistry. Yeah, there's like a specific line. It looks like a cross almost, but the bottom part of the cross is like the shortest, like on my right palm. So I don't know, that could be significant for someone. But yeah, the Azurite temple. I just heard like dream destination. Maybe somebody here really wants to go on a trip and they're thinking about their dream destination. And there could be like crystal clear blue water, because for some reason when I tune into the Azurite temple, like the feeling for me of what that would be like, I just picture like serene like waters. And yeah, like I'm hearing, if you're getting into like the crystalline DNA, or if you have never heard of that and your whole body is like buzzing, or that just excites you in some way. Again, I am not here to like push anything on anyone. This is just what's coming up. Then there's like some sort of, I'm hearing like dream nuggets or meditation nuggets of puzzle pieces or clues that are coming in for you to help facilitate a smooth like reopening to this topic. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, then Sodalite, I kept being like shown Sodalite in, like, if I would watch a video, it would be like Sodalite, like in the last few days, Sodalite came up like 3 or 4 times. So I decided to look it up, and they call allegedly Sodalite the poet's stone, which I thought was beautiful, and I've heard of that crystal so many times and I never heard it called that. So yeah, poetry, or just essentially like a poet at least to me, is generally like a deep thinker or someone who really is engaged in the senses. I feel like poetry is so, of course not all poetry is the same, but yeah, there's something about that, like really tuning in. I was talking about in the beginning, like new creation space. So yeah, there's like I'm hearing a lot of like, what did I say, dream destination, now poet's dream. Like there's this very like ethereal, Piscean, like daydreamy, like I'm almost getting like someone sitting like on a boat with like an old school, those like beautiful umbrellas they used to use like back in the day, where they're like lace, and you know, someone has a southern accent and they're sipping lemonade. I mean, this is like obviously not literal, unless you're doing that, that's amazing, please share that. But there's just like that essence coming through. I just heard in my head poet's divination. Oh my god, I just scared the dog that is sitting next to me. That's actually my friend's / client, kind of. She did something called poet's divination, which was so amazing. So yeah, if you ever check her out, I just did a collaboration with her, and she's dancing doing like improv movement in the video while I bring through messages. So if you watch that, yeah, she does something called poet's divination. So that could be for like one or two of you here. Maybe like there's something in her offerings that might appeal to you, especially that. It was so awesome when she did that. So anyway, or maybe you are someone who is like about to start sharing a new creation. If you're not starting a new one, maybe like you're being called to share one, because all the blue, the blue crystals can archetypally talk about communication and expression, authenticity, sharing. And like I said, I know I've heard some people saying lately, I do get, like, I don't know if you noticed, but I do cringe a little bit, like when I talk about certain phrases, like when I say the word chakra. I am attuned to Reiki, and I know there's a lot of people, again, saying that Reiki is like demonic or archons of astral parasites and stuff. So I just want to say that, like, again, just please use your own discernment. And when I say these things, it's just to convey like the feelings and the things that I experience. I just, like, we're not all completely telepathic yet, so I still need words to express. So I just wanted to like add that note. And I've been hearing so many sirens and seeing the number 911 like a lot. I always send love to the sirens when I hear it. And let me see why I'm getting that. 911 and sirens. Yeah, if someone wants to look up the number 911, like angel number 911, feel free to share. I'm not getting anything specific right now. Maybe someone here is just also seeing that number, or maybe they're also hearing a lot of sirens, but we'll keep going. And if something like weaves itself in, then I will absolutely bring that back up. Okay. Yeah, so when I was in a sauna the other day, I actually think I brought this up and in a different video, I just kept getting this, like, I was meditating and it was dark, and I kept getting this feeling like I was being taken, not being taken, but like, when I say being taken, I more like mean, in my own senses and vision and perception and inner aspects. I had not like brought up the term like galactic center or great central sun in a while. Like I wasn't into that for a while. I'm like really stuttering over my words, so I feel like that flow of authentic expression we were talking about, is going to really start. I'm hearing choppy waters, so it might be choppy waters for a bit. If you've listened to any of my other content, then you can see I'm also working through that myself. And there's just like the tiniest baby ant that just started to tickle me, and it's crawling on my arm. So maybe looking up the ant spirit animal could be helpful. Animal, insect, whatever you call an ant. It's so tiny. Like smaller. I know all ants are tiny, but this one feels even smaller than other ants that I've seen. Yeah, so as I was going through this whole process of like essentially like the solar Stargate systems, and again, take that phrase lightly if that does not sit with you. I'm honestly distracted by this ant, so there could be some slight distractions and like hiccups along the way, but wherever you are at this point, if you're listening to this, and something really does excite you, I'm hearing like, yeah, like maybe like don't give up. I don't know, it's like a little cheerleader message, but it just kind of swooped in. Yeah, and I did talk about this sun phenomena of going through these different solar gates the other day, and right after that I was led to watch this video from Asha and Adine. And when I say led, I just mean that it popped up on my feed or algorithm, and I was like, ooh, like I had to click on it. I was just like, I got really excited. And she started talking about these solar gates and all of the alignments through the different suns all the way to M31, Messier 31, Andromeda Galaxy. And that's exactly what I was experiencing. So, of course, naturally, I listened to this video, and I was like, I was experiencing this, yes. And there was a reference to, I was talking about the crystalline DNA and the diamond sun DNA. Now, I'm going to just, like I said, weave these topics in as they come. And for those who want to go deeper, I plan on doing that most likely on Patreon, and I will do it in YouTube videos as well. So yeah, if that's something that interests you, please feel free to let me know. I did create a video, I believe I called the Aqualine Sun Codes. And I wrote something down, the Aquarian codes, which connects into the Enochian light language. Now, Enochian light language, all of these things, yes, there are shadow sides to all of this, so I'm just putting that out there now. And I will go more into that at another time, but I just wanted to highlight some of these things. And really how, for years I've been going through these different topics, and how more and more as time goes on, like dots are connecting. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I kept also seeing the unicorn symbology, and I did have a dream in the last year or so relating to the unicorn energy, if you will. I'm not guided to share the dream at the moment, but someone else might be tapping into that. And they say like Sirius C is connected to unicorns, and I'm also getting like the Pegasus star system. And when I bring these things up, I also really like to look into like the constellations and some of the mythos and mythology connected to these things, because I was also talking about etymology in the Patreon audio, and how for me that really helps. Etymology, if you're not familiar, is to look into like where a word originates from, or like the root of the word. And I was saying that even sometimes just looking up simple definitions or looking deeper into a word or a star system or the constellation can give us some insight on that archetype of like what that is trying to be shown or convey to you. And I think the other day I looked up the word spiritual, because that word's been coming up a lot lately, and what it means to be spiritual and all these different things. And from what I tracked, I'll have to look it up again, the word spiritual was connected to, and came through the word breathe, to breathe. Now, like, how cool is that? I feel like to be spiritual in this context anyway is to breathe, which every single living thing that I know of in some capacity breathes, right? So yeah, I really like that. That's a whole other topic that maybe one day I will get into, but until then, let's keep going with this. Oh yeah, so the unicorn symbology kept coming up, and I was actually discussing back and forth through voice notes with my friend who I brought up earlier, who I did a collaboration with, Sydney, and her information is linked in the description box if you're interested to see her movement work. Like I said, she is... Oh my God. If she listens to this, so I don't know if I should say this, but there's a number that is very special to her, and always makes me think of her. And I just looked down on the timer, and it was literally mirroring. It was, I'm just going to say it, 31. So it was 3131. And I was talking about her. If she listens to this, she'll get it. But yeah, there could be something like that where there's just like more, or maybe this is coming in for you, like more like synchronistic experiences, or just like really feeling like in alignment in that way. And so anyway, we're going back and forth with voice notes, and I was looking at the clouds. Sometimes I cloud scry, and I saw an animal, and I couldn't remember the name. I called it something else. I called it Warhol, which, Andy Warhol. So I think he does something called pop art. So that could be relevant for someone. Or just like Andy Warhol's archetype in itself is like being ahead of his time and believing in his own vision, when I think at the time, I think he was labeled a lot of different things. So yeah, but the animal that I was seeing, I finally found it was called a narwhal. Narwhal, I believe. A narwhal. Am I saying that correctly? And they call it, allegedly, the unicorn of the sea. And it was like, of the sea, SEA, the sea. And when I was seeing all these unicorns, I was like, oh my God, that's so funny, because that energy has been coming through so strongly. So, excuse me. I read that the narwhal can be a spirit animal that helps decode mysteries. And it's funny because I was talking a lot about like esoteric topics and getting to your own truth, etc. So anyone can look that up and share what they find, of course. Feel free, because there's much to say, but it's actually a whale, which I did not know. Learned something new, hopefully every day. Yeah, it's a toothed whale, it says, that lives in the Arctic Ocean. Very interesting. So they're called the unicorn of the sea because most males have a single tusk. And in a reading I did, or a transmission I did recently, I was talking about an elephant tusk. So that seems to be coming through, and the tusks remind me of like a wand. So someone here might have like a walking stick, some sort of like, maybe even feeling the call to have that. Or it could just be, using your own vessel as that like flow of, or stream, a conduit of that more creative flow, or that subtle energy flow I'm hearing. Okay, let's see what else. I noticed I wrote down plasma, and the phrase plasma body has been coming up a lot lately for me. And when we talk about like the crystal body, the plasma body, I wanted to, again, there's a lot of just breaking things down and looking up in, the simplest form. And plasma is a liquid carrier in the body of salt, water, and enzymes, allegedly. And I also heard that in the body, someone referred to enzymes as like the change makers. Like they, they evoke change. So I just wanted to say that because there's something about being the carrier, the plasma body, the carrier of liquid, and water in its crystalline form. If you've ever seen like the crystals that form in water, if we think of that and apply that in our own body, I just think it's like something to sit with and see how that can like apply to some of these more like some of these topics that seem, when we get into like multidimensionality, I know there's, again, that another buzzword that comes up a lot. But for me, this idea of multidimensionality comes with this perspective expansion and shift when we can see and experience more of this. For me, like what it comes through is like a holographic reality. We are, I've talked about this recently, so I'm not going to go too into that right now, but I just wanted to bring that up. My voice is actually starting to like go out. So yeah, maybe someone here needs to like take a rest in some way, or rest their voice, or maybe they're just calling for a little bit more rest. And I hope that you have like the time and space to honor that. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to end that for this audio. I definitely have way more that I want to share, but I'm actually just feeling like a stopping point right now. So if you got this far, I know there was a lot of like explanations I feel like that I was giving, but that topic, like I said, just felt really important I feel like I said the word topic like 1,000 times, but yeah, just opening up those discussions about it's like that balance of being careful of how we discern and get our information and express, but also like not diluting our expression either, like really it can be, at least for me, like nerve-wracking to want to create these spaces when I know I 100% do not want to like spread any sort of like parasitic, all that stuff that's going on right now. And so like I said, just doing our best to show up when we can and how we can, and just, yeah, like I'm getting tired even just like continuing. So I think I'm just, again, going to stop, but I did want to highlight that. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening.